it's Julian. Today I'm back with an all-new tutorial on how to make ANOTR, Toman, and no art style deep minimal house music. As usual, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets, everything like that from this video is all available at the top of the description on my Bandcamp. And if you're patient on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And let's get started. Alright, here's the project. We're at 126 BPM, so pretty standard for this style of house. And the first thing up here are these chord stabs. Now, the reason why I show you these all at once is because these are all three kind of playing the same sort of sequence, if that makes any sense. Like, they're all playing different MIDI, of course, but it's all three, like, kind of coming together to create one thing. And that's the first thing to keep in mind when you're making these style of stabs in your track, is that it's not just about, like, knowing, how to use, like, a cool minor chord stab, but it's about how to get, like, a few of them, like, usually 2 or 3 or 4, even 5 I've seen sometimes, and kind of make them all talk to each other and create a groove together. And really, the easiest way to do this is honestly just get started with one and just put in, like, a few notes. Like, I started with this stab right here in the middle, so I just put in this. That. And then once you have that in, then you can go and, like, maybe you add, like, this one. And now those are talking to each other. And then we just go and add in the third one. And it all kind of starts to come together. So that's how you want to think about it. It's not just about any one of these. It's about all three of them are playing with each other, kind of talking to each other, and creating the same groove together. Now, the way that these are being made is using, as you can see, just a bit of FM synthesis and then manipulating some audio here. So you can see what we've got going on is this first chord, which is just using the C sharp minor 7 chord. So you can see, yeah. It's just C sharp minor chord. And then there's that minor 7th on top. And then this right here, you can see it's just the root note and then the 5th. And then over here, this is that same chord except it's up +5. So this is an F sharp minor 7. So all you have to do that is I just took the C sharp and just moved it up like that. And then what's happening here is this is doing some FM synthesis. So you can see we have these 3 oscillators. They're all 3 just sine waves. And then you can see the second one's detuned a little bit, and the second and third ones are up an octave from the first one. And then those are going into a low-pass filter, which has a little bit of an envelope on it. And then you can see we have the frequency on that filter being automated. So that's a big part of this, is the filter automation. You want to keep that in mind. Like, these aren't just about having, like, the different ones and having them, like, playing together. The last step that's going to be really important is just some type of automation, whether it's filter automation, whether, like, you're automating these, like, the levels of these different oscillators over here. But essentially just, like, keeping this moving is going to be really important. And that's going to be what's going to bring it to life and really make it feel, like, exciting in your track. If we just keep this in the same place, it's not quite the same. And you can see the automation is not that hard to do. Then for effects on there, we just have a bit of chorus, as well as, like, a very short reverb, and then just some drum bus, and that is it for the first one. For the second and third one, those are both being made using audio, and what we have here is we have these little stabs. You can see I've got them in here, and then they're going into filters. Both of them, I'm using just a low-pass filter, and you can see on those filters, we have an envelope. So this is a really great way to take, like, an audio sampled stab like this and still get all the character and texture that you're going to get from that, but then also kind of making it your own and shaping it yourself with the filter. Like, if I turn the filters off on those, you can hear that the filters are really important for just kind of making these sounds work. So yeah, we've got those, and then on this first one here, you can see I've also automated the filter cutoff. So that's just making that one a bit more dynamic. The second one doesn't have that, and then also on the first one, you can see we just have a bit of chorus, and then a very fast 16th note echo, just to kind of make it a little bit more exciting and make it kind of stand out. And then on the group of those 3 stabs, we just have a bit of echo. So I like doing something like this on the group, where there's just like a little bit of reverb or echo. You know, you don't need to do too much processing, but just something like this can really help to kind of make these all fit under the same roof. You know, just having them all go through that same very atmospheric echo, it's not doing that much. It's only at 10%. But there's without it, and then with it. So you can hear it just adds a lot to these and kind of puts them all under the same roof, so to speak, and makes them all fit together a lot better in the track. Then we have the kick. So this is just like a pretty standard, you know, fat 909 style deep house kick like you would use. This is just one of mine that I've layered together with some other samples. Then we have our bass line, which sounds like this. So this is a really simple, just very repetitive bass line. You can see we have this groove on here. I have that on pretty much everything in the project file. That has 16th notes. But yeah, so all this is doing is it's just going root note, minor third, fourth. So we're just doing that. Boom. So it's a really simple bass line, but this is just about creating that really repetitive, really solid, powerful low end. So you just want some simple notes that are going to all fit into this key that we're already in. And yeah, and you can also hear this one grooves a lot with the percussion. Like we had that percussion set up so that it's kind of bouncing off of what this bass line is doing. And then for the actual bass sound, it's made using an operator, so this is just 3 sine waves. It's actually kind of similar to that chord stab, funny enough. But this one, you can see we just have that second oscillator down an octave. And you can also see we've got the envelopes set like this, so it's a little bit pluckier. And then we have a low pass filter on there with a bit of an envelope on it, so that's making it even more plucky. And then also I have the sine shaper. So here's without that. And then with it. It's a really subtle way to just add a lot more fatness and fullness to a bass like this. Then, speaking of that, I have a bit of drum bus, which is making it even fatter and even fuller. Then we have this EQ8 here, which is cutting at 100 hertz, and then just boosting the lows. So this is just kind of getting the bass out of the way of the kick. And then finally, speaking of that, we just have a compressor side chaining into the kick. And then I have the kick and the bass in a group together called lows. But as you can see, we actually don't have any effects on the group. So this is something that I want to talk about, because you'll see this is kind of going on with a lot of these other groups as well. Like, even the percussion, which has the effect on it, it's not like any saturation or compression. It's just something that's cutting out the lows. So you may be asking yourself, you know, why are you going to group these together if we're not processing them as a group? Well, the reason why is actually for mixing purposes, because, like, you'll notice these are all grouped kind of based on, like, the sort of, like, group of sounds it fits into. Like, in this case, the low end, up here, it's all these chords, then the hi-hats, and the percussion. And then what we can do is, now that we have those groups, you'll see the groups are all kind of at vastly different levels, but then we also have everything inside of the groups at different levels. So essentially, it's like you're kind of setting it up so that you can still have these all like at their individual balances volume-wise, but then you can also go and just turn up and down the group and be like, oh, the track needs more low end, so let me just turn up the lows. Or, oh, this track needs more percussion, so let me just turn up the percussion group. Like, when you have these all being like turned up and down at the same time in the same way, that's what's going to make them just feel really together. And ultimately, like, it's that little thing that can make you end up going and mixing the track a lot better in the long run. So that's why I do it. Then we have the hi-hats, which it starts with the main hi-hat. So this is 2 layers. We have this one, and then this one. So you can hear this one's more of like the punch, and then this one adds that nice mid-range. Then we have some background hi-hats like these two. which you can hear what those are doing. Just adding some extra like background stuff there to the hi-hat pattern. We also have the shaker loop. Just a nice live shaker. And then finally this live hi-hat, which is like actually a very important background element. Like this, like these three hi-hats really. They may seem really subtle. There's also a bit of that auto pan on the live hi-hat. They may seem really subtle and like they're like in the background, but you're actually going to really need these. Like if you get rid of these, it's going to feel kind of flat. Like these are the things that are really going to make your track feel alive and just a lot more exciting and not so like just simple. And they also make your track unique and make it stand out from other tracks. And then we had the clap, which is just this clap, you know, kind of a more standard, deep, minimal style clap, like a very mid-rangey, cracky sort of sound. And then that's just layered with this rattle, which just adds some nice reverb and kind of space to the overall clap. When I was referencing this, I noticed that these guys do this a lot in their tracks, so I wanted to show you guys how to do that. It's just layering it underneath the clap. And the last thing down here is the percussion, which if you look at this, you can see like there's pretty much something happening in every single 16th note, right? Like it's pretty much just going, and then it's just kind of how we do that. So you can hear like it's, yeah, I mean you really just kind of have to go through and like draw these in. What I'd recommend you do is start with like your kick. Like usually I would start with the kick and the bass, then we can move up and get like this main hi-hat and the clap. And then we would just go and do maybe like the snare. Like start simple. You know, and then you can kind of start moving up, you can see. You know, if you do it all in order like this and just sort of like start with the most basic thing, start with the thing that is like right up front in the mix and then kind of work your way up, that's how you can go to having these like super full sounding percussion things like this. It just starts, you just have to like get started with something essentially. And then once you do that, it'll all kind of come together a lot smoother. And then on that group there, I just have this EQ8 here, which is just cutting out the low end just to make sure there's not going to be anything here that could get in the way of like the kick and the bass. And yeah, so that is going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, everything like that from this video is available right at the top of the description. And this is a really great way to support me. If you guys are enjoying these videos, definitely consider going to pick that up. It really helps to support me and keep me going so I can keep bringing you guys new videos every single day. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.